I actually started meditating before I left the city. I started doing something called Transcendental Meditation. Now, you can do whatever meditation you like. I started with TM. I don't do it anymore, but it's a practice that makes you meditate 20 minutes twice a day. You know, there are some very famous people that do it. I think the Maharaja is the one that did it. And so that put that practice into place, and that was one of the things that helped me leave the city. And they have something called the Maharaja Effect. And they reckon that if 1% of the world's population meditated, that it would change the human race. Because when you walked into a city and 1% of the people were meditating, everyone would feel a certain amount of ease, and then they would be at ease, and then they would treat people well, and other people would treat other people well, and it would have this knock-on effect. And I think we're doing the same thing here at London Real, because we're opening up these conversations, these stories of people who are doing good work in the world, who have failed at life, gone through hard times, persevered, have come back, and are contributing ideas. You might not agree with all of them. They might be wrong, whatever that means, but they are doing their best to take humanity to the next level. And I think every single one of those conversations that we broadcast that gets consumed changes that global consciousness. And I think we just need that 1% effect. Right. Call it the London Real effect. And we can really change the world. And I know that term sounds silly. And we use that term in my voiceover in the Ido Portal movie. And I was laughing with our director, Luis, about it. And at the very end, I said, I know how we can change the world. And it starts by moving our own bodies. And it's just one of the many tenets of London Real, moving your body. That's one of the main things we talk about on the show. By doing that, you get in touch with your own consciousness. You show people that we all are the same, we have these bodies. And so I feel like every single thing we do here and that we broadcast changes the consciousness potentially of the world. And we're doing it one guest at a time, one listener at a time, one viewer at a time. But we only have to get to like 1%. We're actually not far off, right? Because that's 70 million people. We've got about 50 million views. So we're not far off from getting that 1% effect. Now, that's to the enlightenment. Now I got to get these people to be empowered. That's going to take maybe another 20 or 30 years. And then we got to get them to transform. And that might take 100 years. Right. But that's okay. It's going to keep going on after I die. And this will just keep progressing forward and be continuing to build. And other people will pick up the torch and do what they can to bring global consciousness forward, like you. Because it's in your own interest, because it feels good. You know when you're doing something right as a human. You know when you're doing something wrong. When you're banking the cash in the city and you're driving in the Lambos and you're drinking yourself to death alone in a 2,000 square foot apartment with no furniture, you know you're doing something wrong. Right. When you get hugs from guests at the end of a show, and I want my hug at the end of this show, and fighters, killers like Nigel Benn are crying for 2 minutes at 2.5 hours into the show. And people are writing me saying, Brian, you changed my life. And people are going through our academy courses and getting London Real tattoos on their bodies. I think we're doing something right. And you don't need a rocket scientist to tell you that. You don't need an IPO. You don't need me banging on the NASDAQ exchange for me to say I'm doing something right. It feels right. So you're going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. And hopefully anybody who picks up that torch of independent media is going to keep doing it. And maybe it doesn't mean broadcasting. Maybe it just means helping someone out. Maybe it means lend a helping hand to someone who's not a blood relative. Maybe it means, giving someone a hug. Maybe it means, I don't know, just trying to be more conscious, more human, more understanding, more forgiving. That's what we're doing here, and that's what I think I mean by global consciousness. Yeah, so I've gone completely the other way.
That's wonderful. It's wonderful because
Continue watching this fascinating conversation for free by clicking on the link below to visit our website, learn from the best minds in the world, and connect with a community of passionate people building the best versions of themselves. Just click on the link below, and I'll see you on the inside.